planned, booked, and paid for a beach house vacation for my entire family. And then my mom called me 3 days before checkout to tell me my spot had been given to my brother's girlfriend. Not asked, not discussed. Told. I want to be clear about something before I get into all of it. I'm not a pushover. I'm not someone who grew up just quietly absorbing whatever my family threw at me without feeling it. I felt everything. I just learned very early that expressing it didn't change anything. So I got good at other things instead, at planning, at executing, at making things happen. I became the person in my family who figured stuff out. Need someone to call the insurance company and stay on hold for 2 hours. That was me. Need someone to research the best deals on a cross-country move? Me. Need someone to coordinate 4 adults with 4 different schedules and book a vacation rental that fits everyone's budget and preferences? Yeah, also me. That's the context you need to understand why what happened this past spring wasn't just about a vacation. It was about a pattern that had been building for years, and the moment I finally stopped pretending I didn't see it, I'm 31. I work in data analytics for a mid-sized logistics company in Columbus, Ohio. I've had the same apartment for 4 years. I drive a sensible car. I max out my 401k, and I have a savings account that I actually use for saving. I'm not bragging. I'm explaining that I am someone who is deliberate with money. Every purchase I make is a considered one. So when I decided last November to book a beach house in the Outer Banks for the following May, it wasn't an impulse. It was something I thought about, budgeted for, and chose to do because I genuinely wanted to give my family a good week together. My family is small. It's my mom, my older brother, and me. Dad left when I was 9 and my brother was 13, and after that we were just the 3 of us. My mom worked 2 jobs through most of our teenage years, and my brother and I were close in that way, that kids get close when they're sort of raising each other. For a long time, the 3 of us against the world felt like the truest thing I knew. Then my brother started dating someone new about 8 months ago. I'll call her his girlfriend, because that's what she is though. From the way my mom talks about her, you'd think she was already family, already permanent, already the 4th member of our little unit. I had met her exactly twice before the vacation. She seemed fine. I had no strong feelings either way. The vacation was my idea. I brought it up at Christmas. I said I wanted to do something real this summer, not just a long weekend at my aunt's lake house, but an actual trip. My mom got excited immediately. My brother said he was in. We talked about it over dinner, laughing about how long it had been since we'd all gone somewhere together, and I left that night feeling genuinely warm about it. In January, I started looking at properties. The Outer Banks was my first choice because my mom had mentioned it once years ago as a place she'd always wanted to see, and I'd filed that away. I found a 4-bedroom house, which felt almost too big for 3 people, but I liked the idea of everyone having real space, a proper kitchen, a deck facing the water. The rental was $3,400 for the week, plus a refundable security deposit of $500. I put it on my credit card because the booking platform required the card to be present at check-in. I paid the full amount up front. I sent my mom and brother the listing that same night with a message that said, "I've got this. Just bring yourselves." My mom called me crying. Good crying. She said she hadn't had a real vacation in 6 years and she couldn't believe I'd done this. My brother sent a voice memo that was mostly just him laughing and saying, "You're unreal, kid," even though he's only 2 years older than me. I felt like I'd done something genuinely meaningful. For the next few months, I was the one managing everything. I made a shared notes document with check-in instructions, the Wi-Fi password, parking information, a list of nearby restaurants, and the ferry schedule to Ocracoke because I thought my mum might like that day trip. I bought new sunscreen because I knew I'd forget if I didn't do it ahead of time. I confirmed our days off with my employer 3 months in advance. I was, by any reasonable standard, invested. My brother's girlfriend started being mentioned more and more in conversations with my mom. Oh, she loves the beach. You know, she mentioned she's never been to the Outer Banks. Little things, said casually, in a tone I would now recognize as laying groundwork. About 6 weeks before the trip, my brother texted me to ask if there was any flexibility on the dates. His girlfriend had some kind of scheduling conflict with the original week and was wondering if we could shift by a few days. I said I was sorry, I couldn't. I had booked the specific week off from work months ago, and changing it would mean losing the time entirely, and the rental was non-refundable past a certain point anyway. He said that was fine, totally understood. Then, 2 weeks before the trip, my mom called. It was a Sunday evening and I was making dinner, and she opened with, "I need to talk to you about something and I want you to keep an open mind." That phrase. I have learned in 31 years that nothing good follows that phrase. She told me that my brother's girlfriend had finally found a way to make the dates work, that she'd really been wanting to join us, that my brother was so excited about the idea of bringing her, and that since the house had 4 bedrooms, it made sense, didn't it, for her to come along. I said sure, that was fine. If she wanted to come, she could take the 4th bedroom. And my mom got quiet in a way that told me the conversation wasn't done. She said, "Honey, your brother wants the trip to be a chance for the 3 of them to really connect as a unit. And he feels like, and I agree with him, that having a 4th person along might make that harder." I heard the words. I processed them. And then I said out loud, "I'm sorry? Are you telling me that I should not come on the vacation that I planned and paid for?" She said it wasn't like that. She said I was being dramatic. She said that the house was paid for regardless, and wasn't it a sweet thing for me to give them this gift of a week together, the 3 of them? The 3 of them being my brother, his girlfriend of 8 months, and my mom, not me. I said I'd call her back. I didn't call her back that night. I sat with my dinner getting cold in front of me, and I did something I don't often let myself do. I thought about all the other times. The birthday when my mom spent the weekend at my brother's place and called me only to say hope it was a good one. The time I drove 4 hours to help my mom after a minor surgery, and my brother sent flowers from 2 states away. And somehow he was the one she told everyone about. The way that my competence had been treated my entire life as a thing that absolved other people of responsibility toward me. "You'll be fine. You always figure it out. You're so capable." Yes, I am. And I was tired of my capability being used as a reason to deprioritize me. I called my mom the next morning. I told her I understood what she was asking and that my answer was no. I was not giving up my spot. I had paid for this trip, I had planned it, and I was going. If my brother wanted the 3 of them to have private time, they were welcome to plan their own trip. My mom went cold. She said I was being selfish, that I was ruining something special for my brother, that his girlfriend was nervous about fitting in with the family, and this was supposed to help her feel welcomed. I said, she can feel welcomed when I'm there, or she can feel welcomed on a trip that someone else pays for. My mom hung up. My brother called me that evening. He was calmer than my mom, which almost made it worse, because it meant he'd thought about how to frame this. He said he understood it was a big ask. He said he hoped I knew he loved me. He said, and I want to make sure I get this exactly right because I have thought about it many times since. You've always been the strong one, the one who doesn't need things the way other people do. I guess I just assumed you'd be okay with this. I let that sit on the line between us for a long moment. Then I said, I'll let you know what I decide. I spent 2 days thinking. I went to work. I went to the gym. I had coffee with my best friend who listened to the whole thing without interrupting and then said very calmly, "You know what you're going to do." And she was right. I did know. I think I had known since the moment my mom went quiet on that Sunday phone call. On a Wednesday afternoon, I got on the rental platform and I cancelled the reservation. Because I had cancelled more than 14 days before check-in, I received a refund of 70% of the rental cost, just over $2,300 back to my card, minus the booking fee. The security deposit was fully returned. The $900 plus I lost I thought of as the price of clarity. I did not tell anyone I had done this. I went about my week normally. I answered texts from my mom about logistics as if everything was still on. When my brother sent me a message asking about parking permits at the beach house, I said I'd look into it and then I didn't respond further. I know that sounds cold. I wasn't being cold. I was letting things reach their natural conclusion without interference. 3 days before what would have been check-in day, my mom called in a panic. She said she'd tried to log into the rental platform to look up the check-in instructions I'd shared months ago, and the reservation was showing as cancelled. I told her that was correct. I had cancelled it. She asked me why. I said, because the person who booked it isn't coming, and the platform requires the cardholder to be present at check-in. There was a silence. A long one. She said, what are we supposed to do now? And I said, I want to be really clear that I didn't say this with satisfaction. I said it matter-of-factly, because it was true. I don't know. That's not something I can help with. She said this was cruel. She said I had done this to hurt them. She said my brother's girlfriend had already requested the time off work, that the three of them had been so excited that I had let this go on for weeks, knowing they were planning around a trip that no longer existed. I said, you made plans around a trip I paid for after telling me I couldn't come. I'm not sure what you expected. I did not respond to the texts that followed. There were many. My mom, my brother, and eventually, which surprised me, a message from his girlfriend who I barely knew, telling me she was sorry if she'd caused any of this and asking if there was anything that could be done. I believed that she was genuine. I still didn't respond, not because I blamed her. I didn't, but because there was nothing to fix, and I didn't want to have a conversation that would require me to explain to a near stranger why her boyfriend and his mother had treated me the way they had. I took the week off work anyway. I called a friend I hadn't seen in almost a year, someone I'd drifted from not out of conflict but just out of the accumulated busyness of adult life, and I told her I had a free week and asked if she wanted to road trip down to Savannah. She said yes before I finished the sentence. We booked a pet-friendly Airbnb, packed her dog into the back seat, and drove 11 hours over 2 days. I swam in the Atlantic at Tybee Island. I ate shrimp and grits at a place where we had to wait 45 minutes for a table, and it was completely worth it. I walked through Forsyth Park in the early morning when the air still smelled like the night before. I laughed until my face hurt. I slept 9 hours 2 nights in a row, which I have not done since I was probably 23. I did not post about it on social media, which took some discipline. Part of me wanted to. The part of me that is petty and human wanted very much for certain people to see me having a beautiful time. But I decided the week deserved to be just mine, without any performance attached to it. When I got home, there was a voicemail from my mom. She wasn't angry in it. She sounded tired. She said she'd been thinking about everything and she thought we needed to talk, really talk, and she hoped I would be willing to do that. I have not called her back yet. Not because I don't intend to, I do, but because I needed to let some of the dust settle and figure out what I actually want to say, as opposed to what I would say if I called right now while everything is still close to the surface. What I know is this. I love my family. I have always loved them in that complicated, aching way that doesn't have an off switch, the way that means you can be genuinely hurt by the people you're genuinely attached to. My brother is not a bad person. My mom is not a bad person. But somewhere along the way they made a decision, a series of small, incremental decisions, to treat my steadiness as permission, to treat my capability as a substitute for consideration, to count on me to be fine while directing their care and attention elsewhere. I was fine. I am fine. But there is a difference between being fine because you are genuinely okay and being fine because you have learned to ask for very little and expect even less. I'm still figuring out which one I've been. My friend from Savannah texted me last week. She said we should plan something for the fall, maybe the Smoky Mountains, maybe the coast of Maine. I said, yes, let's do it. You pick the dates. For the first time in a long time, making plans felt uncomplicated. It felt like something that existed just for me, not as a service I was providing to anyone else. I don't know what the conversation with my mom will look like when it happens. I don't know if my brother and I will go back to the easy thing we used to have, or if this is the moment where we have to reckon, finally and honestly, with the imbalance that's been there for years. I don't know if his girlfriend will become someone I actually know, or if she'll remain a background figure in a story I mostly understand through other people's accounts of it. What I know is that I spent a week in Georgia being absolutely no one's plan B, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. There's a version of this story where I'm the villain. I know that. I let my mom and brother spend weeks planning around a trip that no longer existed, and I didn't say a word. Some people would call that cruel. I've thought about whether they're right, but here's what I keep coming back to. The cruelty didn't start with the cancellation. It started with the phone call where my mom told me in careful, gentle language that the vacation I had researched and saved for and paid for in full, the one I had planned as a gift to people I love, would be better without me in it. That's where the real unkindness lived. Everything I did after was just a response to a thing that had already happened. I think about the kind of person I've spent my adult life trying to be. Someone who shows up, someone who follows through, someone whose word means something. Those aren't small things. They take actual work to build, and you build them by making hundreds of small choices over years, most of which nobody ever sees or thanks you for. I made those choices. I saved the money. I read the reviews. I built the shared notes document with the ferry schedule to Ocracoke because I thought my mom would love that day trip. And none of it protected me from being treated as optional. That's the thing about being the capable one in a family. Your capability gets quietly reclassified as a resource. It stops being something people admire and starts being something they count on, and count on, and count on, until the distance between she'll be fine and she doesn't matter becomes very small. What I did when I cancelled that reservation wasn't revenge. I've sat with that word and it doesn't fit. Revenge requires wanting the other person to suffer. I didn't want that. I just stopped participating in a story where I was both the funder and the afterthought. I exercised the one piece of leverage I actually had, which was the same piece I'd had all along. It was my money, my card, my name on the reservation. I had simply never used it before. The week in Savannah taught me something about the difference between intelligence and wisdom. I had been smart enough for years to understand the dynamic I was living inside. I could describe it, analyze it, discuss it with my best friend over coffee. But understanding something and being willing to act on that understanding are two completely different things. Wisdom isn't just seeing clearly, it's being brave enough to move once you see. My brother said I was the strong one, the one who doesn't need things the way other people do. He meant it as a compliment, I think, or at least as a justification. But strength without boundaries isn't strength, it's just availability. And I had been available for a very long time. I'm not done with my family. I don't think it works that way. Not for me. The conversation with my mom is still coming, and I'll have it when I'm ready. And I'll try to say what's true rather than what's safe or what's sharp. That's going to require something from me that I'm still building. The ability to stay in a hard conversation without either giving in or burning it down. What I know for certain is this. The woman who ate shrimp and grits in Savannah and laughed until her face hurt and slept 9 hours straight is someone I want to keep being. She made a hard call. She lost some money and didn't apologize for it. She took herself somewhere beautiful and let it be enough. That felt for the first time in a long time like something I actually chose.